gets down with the boys round here, drinking that ice cold beer.
Okay, welcome to the WINGIT call. Today is July 21st, 2016. This is a trust call with Richard. And at the end of this, I'll have a little bit of intel for you. But for right now, Richard, take it away.
Thanks, Jerry. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay.
Got a quick
Good.
question for you. Did you ever get an email from what I was telling you about earlier?
I've already talked to him. It's kind of handled.
Got it. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Star 2 to raise your hand. Star 2 to raise your hand. Go ahead.
I wanted to have a call today because I can tell by the type of phone calls that I get from various times that there are things that are going around that I want to get on a call to answer them. One of the first things we've tackled in the last several weeks is just to kind of summarize, is the difference between is Master's Trust a statutory versus a non-statutory trust. And as we have all learned, hopefully we've learned, the answer is it's neither. It's neither a statutory or a non-statutory trust. Does not make any logical sense that it seems that it should be the opposite of each other, statutory versus non-statutory, but that's not what it means. So this trust is if you describe it, and someone asks you to describe it, and this is a good summary right now too, because one of the things I've been getting some conversations, people are calling asking questions. When you go to a professional and you're describing this trust, you cannot just leave it as a irrevocable spendthrift trust. Because if people are giving you advice on that and they say that maybe this is not the best thing for you, that may be the exact answer. That may be very correct. So again, when you're talking to accountants, attorneys, you have to give them the exact description of this trust, that it's not statutory or non-statutory. It is a irrevocable, complex, non-grantor, discretionary trust with spendthrift provisions. And when you do that, one of the best things you could possibly do is just print out, when you're going to meet with an accountant or a professional, is just hand the attorney's opinion letter to them and let them read it. It's the best thing in the world you could possibly do. I just got a phone call, I think, this morning that their accountant, they met with an accountant, probably didn't describe the trust the way they should have. And the accountant said, well, trusts are normally taxable. And this person called me back and said, well, what do you got to say about that? And I said, I got to say that most trusts are taxable. They are. This one is not. This one is, the reason you're here and the reason this is the right decision for you is that assets assigned into the trust, as they increase in value, if they're properly assigned, it is a non-taxable event. And until the law changes, it's going to be a capital gains event, the exchange of the currencies. The other thing we went through, and I'll get to the other thing in a minute, but I'm going to do some other stuff, is the multiple trust concept. Again, there is no reason in the world that you cannot put all of your assets into this trust. You do not need multiple trusts. Now, there may be some good reasons that have been discussed that you might need multiple trusts, but you do not need multiple trusts for multiple assets. This trust, you can put everything that you've got into one trust. It still can't be penetrated. Doesn't matter, as long as the trust was set up properly in the beginning. So, before I get to the other thing that I wanted to talk about, and I guess we'll get into some Q&A afterwards, is I want to talk about and summarize, because I'm getting a lot of questions, the procedures after the RV and the payment method, and one other thing I'd like to bring up. Just to refresh your memory, is that after the RV, the balance that's owed on the trust, a check should be made to Masters Copyrights LLC. So again, it's not to the company that you made the deposit to. It's to Masters Copyrights LLC. On that, you will put your serial number in the notes, and then you're going to mail it or send it to the 220 Newport Center Drive address. That's my address. Once I receive it, and I let the Masters Copyrights of the law firm know that I have received that money, they will already have your files, and they'll start the production of your trust. First in, first out. So again, the check will be made to Masters Copyrights LLC, sent to the Newport address, and make sure you make your notes as to serial number, anything else you want to put on the check. They will go into production the minute that I have the check in my grubby little hands. I'll let the law firm know that I have it. That's the procedure they want, and we go from there. The other thing that I want people to think about it if they want to, and there's a reason I'm telling you about this, but I can't tell you the reason, okay, is that people may want to start thinking about people who have legitimately, for their own reasons, think that they want to set up trusts after the fact, whether it's other Masters trusts or the charitable trust. We want to go ahead, if you guys want to, I'm just going to leave it up to whoever wants to do it, to fill out the application. And don't fill out the application yet. There will be an application for the charitable trust sometime next week, and it's not the same application as it is for the Masters Trust. But go ahead and start thinking about them. Come up with the names. Don't get EIN numbers yet, but fill out the application, and also don't date the application. And only mail them to me, to the Newport Center address. They'll be time-stamped, and again, after and this is only for clients that have gone through the process, made their deposits, and have done the process that we've been doing here lately. So again, fill out the applications if you want to, work with people to come up with names, fill out the application, put it in the mail to me, and again, they'll be time-stamped, first in, first out for trusts after the RV. There probably will be questions, which we can get into in a few minutes. Now, the thing that I've been getting a lot of phone calls on, and I think it's important for a number of reasons to understand, is that people seem to have, and I got two things here. Let me just see here, because I want to read one of them. It seems that some of the experts are saying once again that when the RV occurs, we should have an account for each currency. With our Masters Trust, is there any reason to have more than one checking account linked to our trust? For someone without a trust, perhaps multiple accounts would be good, but I'm asking about us. I think it's important to understand that theoretically, once you have your trust set up and you have the documents that you received, you could have, for your own purposes, 10 trust bank accounts. And it may be for their own reasons. You may have investment properties that you want to have a different account for each investment property. Perfectly fine, perfectly legitimate. You can have 10, 15 accounts in 10 or 15 different banks, theoretically. The need for it, and I think that they're asking here, some time ago, I think when we were listening to, at least to Tony, it was thought that we might need multiple bank accounts or a bank account for each different currency. And I think the purpose of that was that there was some theory out there that some currencies might be taxed at different rates, and therefore it was just a way to segment the currency. Since this is a tax-deferred event for the people who have their trust set up, I don't think there's any reason, unless somebody can explain it, to necessarily have an account opened up for each currency that you've got. At least I wouldn't do it before we even know that we need to do it. Because people can speculate all they want, but I think that until we actually get into the banks, and especially get into the private banks, that I just don't see any sense in it. You can do it, but I just don't necessarily see it just for the RV. If they want to do that, if that's a criteria that they have to do that, then let them set up the accounts. If you've already gone in and set up your account with Wells Fargo, you don't have to walk in there with your documents to set up another bank account. You just walk in and talk to the same banker that you set it up with and tell them you want to open up another trust account. Don't have to have your documents with you because you already have an account. You just tell them you want to set up another one. You set up another one, you nickname it. But again, I think that the questions here that I've been getting, and I think there maybe was a phone call where someone talked about these multiple trust accounts. Unless somebody can give you a reason, a legitimate reason, as far as the trust is concerned, since it's not subject to capital gains taxes on this event, then I don't think that there's a necessary reason to set up multiple bank accounts.
Can I interject here?
Yeah.
The reason that Tony was saying that is because of, like you say, there might be a tax on each one, and if you had an account for each one, that would show you what was what. But here's the bottom line: you only need one account. When you go in and you do your exchange, they're going to give you a receipt for. You can ask for that, a receipt for each currency. That separates it right there in case there is an issue like some people are thinking there might be. So if you only have dinar and dong, ask for a deposit slip for each one as they do each transaction. And that right there, even if it's commingled, you still got the receipt that shows how much your deposit was for that currency. Ends all the discussion about do you need another account unless you just truly want to do that. So I just want to throw that in there about the receipt-wise. Thank you.
I think that's exactly what you should do. And I'm not saying that there may not be a reason that someone sets up multiple trust accounts. And as a matter of fact, I suggest that most people will, because you're going to have things that you just want to segment the accounting for that, and you theoretically can do it. You take your trust documents to another bank after you have. See, we set up this process that we've done so far with a number of the WINGIT clients was basically get ready, knowing that a lot of people don't have money floating around, just laying around. and we get this thing started. You get your bank account open. We know the procedures of Wells Fargo, which is the lead bank. We know that some other banks have to have more documentation than has been provided here. But we know what Wells Fargo needs and requires, and they're one of the easiest banks to work with. If you want to go try and take the same documents that you went to Wells Fargo to another bank, try it. Even if everybody had their full trust, okay, if you had your full trust, if you wouldn't want to take your full trust to the bank or any bank. It's not any bank's business about the content of your trust, what your trust says. Most banks know they can't even legally say anything or analyze it. It's not their business. These are the documents that you would pull out if you had your full trust, take to the bank, and set up your bank account. It's all you need to do. Go try. And I'm not saying that you won't be successful. I think some people have actually called back to some banks, and I think Fifth Third requires more documentations than we have, and some other people. But just go try. There's nothing like a try but a failure or something like that. Somebody said that. I think Tony said that. But I think that's you can't have multiple, but not for that reason. I think that to do a deposit for each currency you've got, fine. That's it. That's all you need to do. So that's kind of all that I have here. If we want to open up to a Q&A, spend some time doing that, we can do that if you want to, Jerry.
Sure. San Antonio, Tom on the web, come on down. Ooh, you got some bad sound there. I had to mute you out because it's pretty high shrilled. Maybe you can fix that. We'll come back to you in just a second. Pensacola, 850, come on down.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. I'm dead in the water without a settler. I have no one that I can use for a settler. Do you have any advice?
Call me. Do you have my number?
Do you have his email address?
Should I use the RTH6996 @gmail?
Yes, sir. That'll be fine. Yes. Just communicate with me, and I'll provide you with a solution.
Okay. Another quick question. Can you open this up with a multi-currency account?
No. And here's my thought of multi-currency accounts. I believe that you have to convert to U.S. dollars, and I don't know, but the answer is no, because I don't know the procedures. If the bank will do it for you, go for it. But it's not anything that we do. It's something that you would have to do.
Okay. On the application, it says mail it to Louisville, Texas.
No. You mail it, you fill it out and mail it to that RTH6996 @gmail.com. That will delay it if it goes down there.
What do you mean, mail it to the email?
No, I mean, just send it to the email or scan it. Either communicate with me or scan the application and send it to the RTH6996 @gmail.com.
Okay, I'm ignorant how to do that. I need to talk with you. And one other quick thing: is there a maintenance fee involved with this trust?
No, very good question, and that's actually that went through my mind. There are no. I want to be careful what I say here because somebody's going to hold my feet to the fire. As far as fees are concerned, there are no fees, further fees due to the law firm or to Masters Copyrights LLC. But as you will see, when you utilize the trust after you get your full trust, as an example, there will be some fees that you will have to pay, but not to the law firm. There's no renewal to the law firm. In other words, if you assigned your home into the trust and then you followed up after the assignment with a quitclaim deed, you would have to probably pay somebody to draw up the quitclaim deed, which should cost you $40 to $60, and county recorder fees will be $30, $35. It is here, okay? And there are some fees that you would have to pay, especially assigning an existing home in, but not to us. Someone called me the other day and said, well, this trust has to be renewed after 21 years. I'm not paying you another $5,000 after 21 years. I said, fine, you don't have to. You just do that right inside of your trust. You've got the documents that you just renew it for another 21 years. But there is no recurring fees, no monthly fees, nada, nothing.
Okay, on the form, where you put your beneficiaries, do you need their Social Security number?
No. Nope.
Just
no address.
their names.
Just their names.
No relationship.
Nope. A beneficiary doesn't have to have a relationship. You can put your dog down there. If you have hunting dogs that you want to make beneficiaries, put them down.
You can put down Jerry McGuire, please.
Okay. All right.
All righty, sir. Thank
you. Okay. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Let's try Tom on the web again. Hello, Tom. Oh, no. Tom? Nope. Not working. Lewiston, Idaho.
Hi, guys. Richard, I have a question for you. Myself and my husband and then friends of ours also have a trust through you guys. And the question that I have is, when we go to send all the paperwork in with the rest of the money, how do we make, like, our beneficiaries and everybody else, how do we get those put on? Because it's just like my husband and I now. But how do we put the other people on?
Well, okay. So right now, if you wanted to add beneficiaries to your trust,
mm-hmm.
then what you would do is make a copy of the application on page 2.
Okay.
Add them on there now, and email that to me, and I'll make that change prior to the RV. I'll substitute that page into your application.
Okay, sounds good.
Now,
and then,
again, you're not sending. The only thing that you have a chance to change is, before the trust goes to production,
mm-hmm.
you have one more chance when you send your check in, but you're not. When you said send the paperwork back, nothing comes back. Documents don't come back to us.
Oh, okay. That was the other question I had for you.
Yeah.
So you just answered that.
Because what you're going to do is these documents are actual documents that you're going to want to keep, and you're going to insert them at the proper place in your trust.
Okay.
But nothing comes back to us. We don't. I don't need to know currency. I don't need to know anything. Don't want to, actually. So
okay.
no paperwork except some last minute changes to the application. But I'd rather people get that change, get the page changed down. I don't need the whole application. Just change page 2.
Okay.
And when you send the email, just summarize who it is.
Okay.
And the serial number of your trust.
Okay.
And I'll make that change. Do it all the time.
Okay. Now, say that something were to happen, like to myself and my husband at the same time, and
mm-hmm.
the way we have things set up, the beneficiaries, do we put in, how do we set that up so that it would continue to go on and on and on?
You the successor trustee and the successor compliance overseer.
That's all I
You've
have
got
to
to
do.
have.
Just who I'm going to put
You've
in.
got it. Just put it right above where the beneficiaries are on the application. Just put those in.
Okay.
And it should be the same person. And this is a good point for people to know. The same person should be both the successor compliance overseer and the successor trustee.
Okay.
It's important not to lose the successor compliance overseer. So make that person the successor to both, because once you lose the compliance overseer, you can't get it back. You've only got the trustee, and now you don't. There's some things that you can't do any longer.
Okay.
And let me just give you a quick example. A trustee that's an easy decision. If a trustee passes, the successor trustee just takes over. But let's just say a trustee becomes medically incompetent and can't perform, and the successor trustee and the successor compliance overseer gets two medical opinions and steps up to take the place. If you're only the successor trustee and not the compliance overseer also, then you can't make the outgoing trustee a beneficiary again if you're not the compliance overseer. So you want to have both people in that position. Don't lose one position. Succession should always be both positions.
Okay, perfect. That helps a lot.
All right, ma'am. Anything else?
Nope, I think we're good. Thank you. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Bye-bye.
Okay, and Richard's email address again is R, T as in Tom, H as in Henry, 6996 @gmail.com. RTH 6996 @gmail.com. Raleigh 919.
Hey guys,
down.
how you guys doing?
Great. Good.
Quick, I got a question for each one of you.
Hold on, you're really hello. We can barely hear you.
Let me get off my Bluetooth. Hang on 1 second. Okay, is this better?
Much better, and if you could speak up just a tad.
Okay, I'm driving down the freeway. Sorry about the noise.
I
got a
that's
question
much better.
for you. Okay, thank you, Jerry. Okay, as individuals, we have the ability to gift $14,000, or to another couple, my wife and I could do as much as $56,000. Can the trust gift to people, and if so, is it limited to just the $14,000?
It is the position, and this is individual gifting is not the same as trust, and you don't get the same benefit. That's the answer that we're finally getting. Now, so yes, you can do 14,000, and you and your wife can do 28, but that's personal.
Correct.
Things paid there. So monies paid directly to a beneficiary are probably going to be taxable. And I looked into this the other day. Let me give you some examples of where it probably would be taxable, but they may not be able to, or they may not be required to pay taxes. A 14-year-old girl or boy in high school that doesn't have a part-time job. Go to the accountant, take a look at your tax return, and ask your accountant, how much can my son or daughter make without having to pay taxes? One answer I was given was up to, I think it was $10,600. So you can give someone money, and they may or may not be taxed, just depending on what kind of income level they're in. But it's two different things. You can't. Now, this is a good thing to start thinking about, because I just thought this might get too complicated, but you kind of have to start thinking about not giving people money, but doing things on other people's behalf. Because it's my understanding that there's no limit on what you can do for beneficiaries on their behalf. So if giving them $15,000 and having them pay their bills, or you can pay people's rents, your beneficiaries' rents, the trust can buy a car and endow that car to the trust, let the beneficiary drive it, can pay the utilities on the rent. If a kid's in college, pay all their bills, and to the extent that they can get X amount of dollars per year without having to pay taxes on it, you could give them $500 a month, possibly, as long as it doesn't trigger the amount that they would have to pay, the income tax level that they could do. And that's different from family to family. So just go and ask, and there's no limit on what you can pay on other people's behalf.
Okay, but they have to be a beneficiary in order to receive the funds. Like if I wanted my brother, I don't want him to be a beneficiary, but I wanted to help him out. Can that be done out of the trust, or does that have to be money that I have to pull out for myself and then help him out?
No. What's your reluctance to make him beneficiary of your trust?
Because I've got 7 brothers.
Well, okay, but keep this in mind also. The fact that you make somebody a beneficiary doesn't mean that you have to do anything for them. And that is the discretionary part of this trust. You, as the trustee, have total discretion over what you do. If one brother needs the help, put them all in there. But if somebody needs some help, make them a beneficiary, help them, but pay things on their behalf. If you give people money and people are on some kind of government program or something, it may kick them out of that program. But doing things on their behalf is a much better way to think about beneficiaries.
Okay, I understand what you're saying. Thank you. And
yes,
Jerry, this is 919, and you asked me to send you an email with an article about TANT in it, and I was wondering if you got it. That's all the question.
About what, please?
Retired Brigadier General Hugh Tant. You asked me to send you the article that I had on him.
How long ago did you send it?
The day we did the call, I believe it was last Friday. And I put 919 Raleigh Hugh Tant in the subject matter.
I'll go back and look. My internet mistress has looked at those, and I will.
Okay, because you asked me to send it to you, and I did.
Thank you, sir. And I'll take a look at that. I've been quite busy doing things, but yes, I'll get a look at that. Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you. Well, thank you for taking my call. You guys have a good afternoon.
Sir. Thank you.
Yeah, put all your brothers in there as beneficiaries. They don't have to know that because you're in control. And if they don't like it, I got news for them. Tell them to face upwind and pee. That way they'll feel warm all over. I know, I have such a colorful way of... Oh, instead of CRS, we all know what CRS stands for. We now have CSR. Can't simply remember. Salina, Kansas, come on down.
Hello, Jerry.
75.
Hello, Jerry.
Go ahead. Yes, go ahead.
Oh, Richard, I was involved in your trust, your master's trust, and what I've done is set myself as the trustee and the successor to the trust. And the wife and me have agreed that she's going to set up her trust later, and we were going to take half of what we have in the trust and split it out later so she can set up another master's trust later. Would that be a good suggestion to do it that way? That way she takes care of her side of the family, I'm taking care of my side of the family, and it kind of keeps us from, disputing between us on who's going to do what.
Yeah, let me answer it like this, okay?
Okay.
Not a bad strategy. If for anyone who's gifted currency to family and friends and things, and it ends up being a fairly sizable amount, then what you should do is to exchange everything into one trust. And this is what you're talking about doing. You've got one set up. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's perfect. Exchange everything into that trust. After the fact, there's no hurry to do it, except that she may want her money.
Yeah.
So,
sure.
but come back and that's what I was talking about earlier. For people who want to start thinking a little bit further ahead, fill out an application. Don't get a tax ID number yet, and don't date the application, but send it in so that it gets in line. And then what you would do is, once that's set up, you would make that trust a beneficiary of your trust, endow from your trust to that trust, and that's not a taxable event, and then you will take that trust out as a beneficiary of your trust. And that's a perfectly legal, legitimate way to do things.
Now, in the meantime, once I put the funds into my trust, now, do I make her a trustee successor to that trust and the overseer until we get that done? Just in case I pass away in the middle of it. Okay. And
well, but here's what you might do. Okay, is that you mirror what you do for her, she does for you. So she would be the trustee and the compliance overseer. You would be a successor. Mm-hmm. And guess what? You could be a beneficiary of her trust.
Right.
Perfectly legitimate.
I see. Now, or appointed as the successor trustee of her trust. Whatever you do in your trust, you would mirror the opposite in the other trust. She would be her trustee and compliance overseer. You would be the successor trustee and compliance overseer, and you could be a beneficiary of her trust. Sure, that sounds good.
Yeah, that's a perfectly legitimate way to do this.
All right, I appreciate that, Jared. Richard, thanks, Jared.
And I want to say one thing, and I should have said it at the very beginning, but I forgot. All this is in compliance with the IRS, and everybody's going to say, well, the IRS is going away. Let it go away. This is trust law, and trust law has been around since the 1400s, and it's not going to go away. And until there is a change, a public change, we still have to play by the rules, and this is playing by the rules.
And the IRS doesn't make the law. The IRS doesn't. They don't make the laws. Congress makes the laws. So Congress is not going to change these laws. They can't. They're
No,
all,
they want protection too, because half of those
Yeah.
criminals, I mean politicians, have the same type of trust.
I'm glad you said it because I was going to say it.
All right.
All righty, sir. I'm sorry, did you want to say something?
Who, me? Well,
Yes, sir.
Let me just. I got an email here.
Well, no, I was talking about Salina, Kansas.
Oh, no,
sorry.
I'm fine. I appreciate everything you guys said.
All right, thank you, sir.
Just start to.
Let me just read something that I just got here. Okay, how do I make my check for the balance of the trust? I covered that. You'll make it to Masters Copyrights LLC and send it to me.
That's the questions. Yeah, you've already addressed all those.
Okay, hang on just 1 second because there's one down here. Okay. Okay. Number 5. Can I have a master's trust with other trusts inside of it, such as one for my real estate purchases, automobiles, one for each of my children, and one just to buy things as I need to? Trusts don't have trusts inside of them. Trusts don't look at this as a vertical diagram. Trusts are horizontal. A person forms a trust, and if one trust is going to endow from that trust, they endow from that trust, and that's an equal trust to the one that they've got. I think someone here is also saying, do I have to set up other trusts for each one of my assets, purchases, real estate, automobiles? No. Now,
well, they've been listening, Richard, to I'm not going to say who, but a couple of well-known people who are saying this is the way to do things. That way, if it is pierced, the only thing they can take is that particular item. And because it's not what they're talking about versus what we're talking about, it's two different. It's not apples to apples.
Yeah,
it's apples to
that.
oranges.
I know.
Well, I'm giving the redneck version of it. They're not the same animal, and that's where the confusion lies.
Yeah, if you go into the last case where this was adjudicated was dismissed with prejudice on the inability to penetrate this trust. Period. It doesn't matter if you have $10 in it or you have $10 billion. You need
to explain what with prejudice means.
It can't be adjudicated again. It was done. It was done, and it can't be. It's a dead issue. In other words, there's case law that says that this trust cannot be penetrated to claim debts on behalf of parties to the trust, and it's case law. And so this trust it doesn't matter if it's $10 billion or $10. A turnover order can't be issued against this trust, one trust for everything you've got, unless you have fraudulently set it up. But I don't want to get into the fraud issue. No one here is doing that. They're not trying to get away from a judgment that they already have. If you already have a judgment, you're trying to hide assets or try to hide it, it can be turned over. If you're anticipating a messy divorce and you're trying to hide assets away from your soon-to-be ex, one way or the other, that can be overturned. But if you set it up properly, no matter what assets you've got, there cannot be a turnover order issued against this trust. One example may be child support, at least in California and Texas, but that's it. They can't be penetrated to get it. The judge can make the trust pay for it, for child support.
Well, yeah. Anyway, so we're going to try another caller here that's going to shock the crap out of them, that didn't raise their hand, that's in Washington, D.C. And it looks like it might be off Capitol Hill. It's a 202 number. You're open. Last four of your phone number is 8423. Washington, D.C. Come on down. Hello? Washington, D.C. 202. Area code. Last four of your phone number is 8423. You didn't raise your hand, but I got you up here anyway. Hello? I guess not. I was scrolling because we only got 100 callers there. All right, Pensacola, Florida. 850. Come on down.
Hey, Jerry.
Yes, ma'am.
How are you? I have a question about gifting.
I'm
I know
available.
as an individual. As an individual, I know that I have a cap on yearly and lifetime giving. But if I have a trust and then I endow another trust, in any way, does that count against my ability to gift in the future? Does it count as a gift?
No, it's an endowment.
Okay.
No, it's an endowment.
Okay, can a trust gift anything, and does it have a limit then?
Such as? Yeah, give me.
Let's say I don't. Let's say I have a brother that I want to gift some money to. I don't really want him to be a beneficiary, even though I understand I could take him right back off. Would there ever be a reason that I could do that so that I could give someone $14,000 that they would not have to pay taxes on from a trust, or is that just really no reason to do it?
Okay, again, about just a few callers ago, we started talking about doing things on behalf of other people rather than paying them money and having them pay their bills. There's no limit if you do it on behalf of someone.
Okay, that makes sense.
If you're operating your trust and you're the trustee of your trust, and you say to your husband, I'm just going to make some assumptions here. I'm just not you necessarily, just an example. We need to pay the bills this month, and you've got two choices: write the checks out of the trust, which is the right way that you should do it, or say, honey, here's $10,000. Why don't you go ahead and pay the bills? Now, you just created a taxable event for him. He has to pay tax on $10,000. But if you are paying those same bills directly to the utility company, whether you're doing it for yourself or anyone else, you're doing it on behalf of people, then you can go ahead and do that, okay? Start thinking about doing things on their behalf, meaning pay their utilities, pay their rent. And Jerry brought up a good point. You can do this stuff. You don't even have to you can make them a beneficiary. You don't even have to tell them that they're a beneficiary of a trust. But I would rather you make him a beneficiary and do things for him. You don't have to tell him that. Anybody. Gifting, okay. Trust to trust is not a gift. It's an endowment. And it's not jeopardizing anything. It's not jeopardizing any of your lifetime gifting. Okay?
Oh,
yeah, I think you've got $5.4 million. It's just not doing that. They're two different animals.
Okay, thank you so much.
Uh-huh.
All right, thank you, ma'am. Seattle, 206. Come on down.
Hi.
Hi. That's Jerry McGuire with a G. Oh, She muted herself. That's Seattle. That's Jerry McGuire with a G, beneficiary.
Can I? Am I now unmuted?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Oh, good. Great. Thank you, Jerry. Thank you, Richard. I have a question about this gifting, or just paying things on behalf of someone. If you buy houses with your trust, so the trust owns houses, can you give permission for anyone, say your beneficiaries, to live in these houses? You pay the bills? I mean, is that going to be a taxable event? Will they have to pay taxes on what that, how much that, if it were, say, a salary?
No. What you're doing is you're thinking exactly right. That's the way to think about this. The trust buys houses, endows the houses into the trust. You as the trustee can do whatever you want to do to allow a beneficiary to live in one of those houses.
She's wanting to know, do they have to be a beneficiary to live in the house? And I don't think so.
I don't think so. But you're thinking correctly. You're thinking the right way. Because if you give them money, it's taxable. Anything you do on their behalf, pay the bill to the utility company, pay the bill to the gas company, pay the insurance directly to the insurance company. It is not taxable to the person who's living in that house if you're doing things on their behalf.
Terrific. That's what I wanted to know. But I do understand, just to clarify, if as a trustee we buy a house for the trust and we write it up that this is one like a paycheck to the trustee, then would we pay taxes on the comparable payment, like for rent, for that? If as a trustee,
are you single or married?
Single.
Okay. A single trustee is a little bit more challenging. What you have to do is the house that you buy is going to be an investment for the benefit of the beneficiaries. Okay?
Yeah.
So whatever house that you buy that you ultimately decide that you would like to live in, you're going to buy that for the beneficiaries. They can come and stay with you, come and visit, or not, okay? But then you're the caretaker of the property, and you will have to declare a portion of the reasonable rent of that property in a given neighborhood. And it's not 100%. You'll work that out. My feeling is it's probably somewhere around 15 or 20 that you would have to declare if you're single. If you're married, you generally get a free ride because you have to, live with the beneficiary.
Yes.
So yes, the trustee has to do things a little bit differently if a single trustee. But see, here's the thing: is that the trust has absorbed a huge capital gains tax. Hopefully, you put that money to work and it's earning interest, and it's earning more interest than the taxes that you would theoretically pay. Because if you live in the house, and that house is an asset of the trust pays the utilities. So some portion of that's going to be taxable to you, and you work that out with your accountant, your trust accountant.
Thank you. That's exactly what I wanted to know. I appreciate the answers.
All right.
The same with your car too. Okay. The same with your car. Use your car for trust business. You can buy a car, endow that car into the trust, but some portion of it will be taxable to you as the trustee, not so much to the not at all to the beneficiaries.
Okay.
All right, ma'am.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Last caller of the day, Bartlesville, Oklahoma, 918. Come on down. Bartlesville, you're unmuted.
Yes, so
There
Jerry,
you go.
can you hear me? I
Yes,
have
ma'am.
a question, two questions. Number one, what is a charitable trust, and what's the difference between that and a corporation sole?
What's the difference between that and a corporation? What?
Corporation
Sole
sole?
proprietorship. That will probably be best expressed in an email, Richard.
Okay.
Hello? Okay, I'm sorry, I went out for a minute.
Yeah, let me just answer one half of it though.
Okay.
A charitable trust is a whole lot easier animal, especially our charitable trust is a whole lot easier animal to manage if you're going to be very involved with gifting, charities and stuff like that. A foundation, you need to do some research into a foundation because it has to be approved by the IRS. And I know some foundations that haven't been approved. They're bulky to manage. There's a lot of reporting, and it's easy to do it in a charitable trust. You don't have to ask permission of the IRS. You get a tax ID number for an irrevocable trust, and you're open the first day. You don't have to ask anybody's permission.
Oh, okay. Okay. Thank you for that. And I have a second question. Let's say in my trust, I have my daughter as a beneficiary, and I buy a car for her and put it in the trust, and she gets into an accident or does something crazy, and they want to sue her. Would that penetrate the whole trust, or what would happen in that case?
Okay, great question. But here's where I want everybody to start thinking differently. You're not going to buy a car and put it into the trust.
Okay.
The trust is going to buy a car.
Okay.
And you as the trustee are going to buy a car, and it's easy to do when you first buy the car, because then you will, when it comes time to close the car, and you take them a check from the trust, you tell them that you want the registration put into the name of the trust.
Okay.
Now, maybe it's in the name of just the trust, or it maybe have to have your name as the trustee. Either way, it's okay.
Okay.
So now it is registered into the trust. You may want to do the letter of transfer and conveyance of property. Everything should start with one of those.
Okay.
And now the trust owns it. Now, whether the trust is, she's driving a trust car or not driving a trust car, she's in an accident, she's a beneficiary of the trust, your trust is set up, and here's what you got to think, as much as I hate to say it, think O.J. Simpson, okay? Because his assets were in this trust, so anybody can bring a lawsuit against your daughter as a person. Can't stop that from happening. They can take her to court, they can sue her, they can get a judgment. But what they can't do is look to the trust to pay that judgment.
Okay.
Because technically, in this trust, nobody owns anything. Nobody involved in the trust owns anything. And you can only have the judgment against you if you own anything. And no one that has anything to do with the trust owns anything. The trustee controls it, but nobody owns anything. So they will not be able to penetrate it. And that's one of the things also that I mentioned with the case study, that the trust has been trying to be penetrated, and they can't issue a turnover order against a spendthrift trust.
Okay. Well, that's good to know.
All righty, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right. Oh, and I one last thing, and then we're going to bring the art meister in here. Richard, I think if you sign your name /trustee, I believe it automatically is registered in the trust. You don't have to fill out a conveyance paperwork. Is this, because people are going to ask, I hate AT&T because they always kick me off. Anyway, what's the last you heard, Richard?
I don't know. I can find out. But what the reason I like the assignment sheets is what I call it, is that it summarizes it. It keeps a good record of it, and it's just a good thing to do. That's my 2 cents worth. But if it's purchased by, I can find that out. I've got, before Art comes on, or whoever was coming on, I've got 2 things because I'm getting some emails here. Can I just take a minute?
Sure.
Okay. 2 things. I just got an email from someone who is, as far as where to send money and who to make it out to, there's 2 different issues. One is before the RV, one is after the RV, after we've had an RV, and one is before the RV. So if you are after the RV, the check will still be made out to Masters Copyrights LLC, but it will be sent here to the Newport Center Drive address.
Do you want me to post? Do you want me to post this in the forum, our forum?
Well, I think it's. Let me just say it one more time. Before, if you're paying off your trust, and wanting to get your full trust, you send it to Texas. So the person who sent me the comment about whether they sent it to Texas or not, was that right or wrong? They were correct. So there's 2 different issues. So that was it. That was all I had.
So if they're paying off post RV, do they send it to you?
Post RV is the payment comes to California, and then I tell them that I have the money, and they put it in production.
Pre-RV goes to Texas?
It goes to Texas, but I'll give people directions about where to send it and who it goes to.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Yep.
Art Meister.
Yes.
Did you want to share a little tidbit?
Yeah, I can. I have a question now for Richard. Richard, is there a particular form to put a car into the trust? An already owned car?
There's no form. You just have to find the right person to do it. You have to go. It took us forever to figure out the procedure here in California because one of the agencies that controls this was wanting re-registration fees or reassessment fees, thinking it was a sale. I think if you just use one of those sheets as an assignment, that's the first thing you have to do. And you you may or may not have to actually go and do the title, but you may want to. But it's a little bit more complicated than a house. Trust me.
Well, wouldn't you have to retitle it? Title would have to be in a trust name then, wouldn't it, on the car?
Well, not necessarily to get it into the trust. You may want to do that, and that probably would be a good idea, but I just don't know. I have someone I found here in California that I just, for $70, she does everything with the DMV and gets it done.
Okay. Well, money won't be a problem to pay anybody to do anything, and as long as we do it the proper way, I guess that's one thing we can wait and afterward, after the fact, as far as that and the house and whatnot.
Well, buying a new house and a new car is easy. That's the easy button, easy peasy. It's easy. Yeah.
I had the car dealer tell me, I need your trust papers if you're going to buy a car in the name of the trust. I said, okay, well, no problem. I'll just, those papers gave me. Huh?
No, he doesn't.
I don't. I would.
Well, he told me in Tennessee that's what they want. So I don't know.
Well, you drive over the border, Art, and go into another state and buy a car.
You've got the necessary documents that you could give him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I told him I did.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No problem. All righty. Okay.
All right. Go ahead, Art. Give us
we got a little bit of. We were told to put this intel out today. Usually the sit rep reports, they tell us not to. They told us to let her loose. So the one from last night was at 2200 Eastern Time. All SKRs at Wells Fargo go liquid tomorrow, Thursday. I'm following the chat room of the Truth Call, and they said they have gone liquid. They have got reports that a lot of them are being paid out today. So that's a good sign. They had to go before we get the actual RV live. Zim traders go liquid tomorrow also, which is today. And with Zim traders, I'm not sure exactly what that means. IRS agents are now wearing U.S. Treasury badges in the field. Exchange centers have all reported in as ready. Exchange staff had early dinners ordered. Exchange staff told to inform families to be prepared for 4 straight days of work. And then the sit rep come out this afternoon. G20 expects all RV matters to have started before they meet in China on Saturday, the 23rd. Republic waiting till after conventions to roll out Clinton perjury charges. Republic constitutional rule of law and political realignment will be restored after RV. No one running for president will be president. The Clintons and Trump will step aside or face trials. Now, I don't know why Donald Trump would face a trial. We all know about the Clinton deal, but I don't know about Trump. That all remains to be seen, all this stuff here. Anyway, Obama and Biden will not make it to the end of their term. Both will resign. God is with us. So a lot of that remains to be seen on the Republic front. 198 countries successfully pinged in last night's test. There are many IT techs readied and watching in San Jose headquarters of Wells Fargo Computer Center for when the button pushes. It would not faze me if they made us wait until Friday. Well, we're getting close to that anyway, but it could go this evening. I was told yesterday there was a Wells Fargo wealth manager that had told a particular person's attorney that we were getting numbers yesterday, and then I was told today that the reason that didn't go is some bonds were being sold last night, and I don't know what kind of bonds. I know nothing about bonds, and maybe that had to happen first. But if SKRs are still in the process of being paid out, we very well could get those elusive 800 numbers tonight. Don't know. We'll just have to wait and see. But it's all good stuff, and nothing negative out there. It's just all good stuff. So we'll have to wait and see. But that's the good news we got.
Thanks, Art. I hadn't heard that, so thank you for bringing that in.
All righty.
Now for a little tidbit from Jerry. Let's see. So bear with me. Wealth destruction is at a fevered pitch, and the Rothschilds are losing money like nobody's business. These markets are decaying the way they are because the bankers can't rig the markets anymore. Yeah, they're getting caught with their hand in the cookie jar left and right. They have to be Basel III compliant. If they try to rig the system, within seconds, the software shows who's doing it and where it's being done at. That tells the banks they can't hide this stuff anymore in the new system, and it's ready to go. Secondly, the name of the system is it's Promise is working like it's supposed to. The fiat system cannot work any longer by rigging the market rates, because when they try to, within seconds it shows up. Interest rates and currency rates. The fiat currency can't go any farther. We can't make it to October. We can't even make it to August. Don't even know if we're going to make it next week. It was reported there was a secret bankers meeting in New York. This comes only a day before the G20 starts in China. Oh, and I got a text saying that Lagarde said she was in China today to help bring about global stability. So they are trying to figure out who is going to be the fall guy and is going to jail. The Iraqi dinar has revalued inside Iraq, which we've heard, and Switzerland. It's already locked in between Iraq and Switzerland. I think that's so those two can do business, because we got the BIS in Switzerland there, which is BIS, wait a minute, Bank of International Settlements. Had a brain fart there. Is what it stands for. There's a very strong possibility that we will see the collapse of the yuan in China tonight. It's a necessary part of the planning for the GCR to proceed. There was a message put out last night from Japan that they are not going to use their money to support the yen any longer. And that statement was made by Japan about a month ago. And it's a sleight of hand by the central banks. So there you go. If it didn't sound right, just go back and listen to the replay. So I hope that little tidbit helps everybody out. Not very many people heard it live. Maybe 300-400 people, and that's it. So anyway, thanks for the trust call, and that's it. Jerry out. Goodbye.
The conference is now completed. Goodbye.